Karen Bonifilio, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. We have a special guest today. This lady, Jill Amy Sager. Jill, would you like to say hello before I introduce you?
Yeah, hello, and thanks for having me, Karen. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's a delight. And I just found out that Jill lives down the road from me, just a few cities away. We're going to talk to her about three things today. One is she is a tarot reader. I love tarot. I actually do it every day.
Mhm.
And she's a professional percussionist. What instrument do you play?
Well, I kind of call myself a former percussionist. It's been a while since I've played professionally, but I studied on conga drums. Those are the Cuban drums. They're played this way. Uh,
Oh, like Desi Arnaz?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's so cool.
yeah.
And she who unexpectedly started channeling information from the universe, and that is so fascinating to me. What she learned from these wise sources ignited profound, uplifting change, an experience that has inspired her to help others as she has been helped. Her journey from musician to writer occurred after her first nonfiction book, Beginning Hand Drumming, A Guide to Recreation and Wellness, was published by Carl Fischer Music. Her articles and stories have appeared in Women Writers Women books, Story Circle, Awaken Magazine, The Registered Guard, The Power of Each Breath, A Disabled Woman Anthology, and Silver Birch Press. And she lives in Western Oregon. Wow, you are really well published, my friend.
I'm working on it.
Well, I mean, that's pretty darn good. That's really
Thanks,
good. Yeah.
thanks.
Do you have your book there by any chance to
I
show?
I do. This is what
Let's
my
take
publisher and distributor want me to do. This is the book.
guidance from the universe,
Yeah.
hopeful messages for everyday challenges.
Yeah. And, it already won Best Cover with Bedside Reading. It's received 5 stars from Reader's Favorite and Midwest Book Review and Goodreads and Amazon, all 5 stars. I'm just saying that because I'm very proud of it. You never know what a book's going to do. You never
You
know,
don't.
yeah, how people will respond to your writing. You put yourself out there and, cross your fingers that what you've said is what people will recognize or relate to or at least enjoy. And this book is receiving that kind of interest. So I'm pretty proud of it. It just came out in January. It's been a short
Well, that
run
is
so far.
January of 2020.
5.
That's really good then.
Yeah.
That's really good. So I bet you're very proud of, I'm seriously very proud of yourself.
Yeah, I don't have, I have to step back sometimes and remind myself to be that, to be kind to myself, like we all need to be kinder to ourselves. I can take a lot, I can be critical like everybody else, but that's part of the message actually in this book and part of what I've learned from tarot and also from the universe that's being kind to ourselves, being gentle with ourselves, being accepting of ourselves, being self-reflective is really the key to a happier life. And so I try to be proud of what I've accomplished. Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I haven't met you, so I don't know your story, and I hope to find that out. But I know when I wrote my book, I thought, I'm a nobody. Who's going to read this? And but I was told to write my book, and that I was told that my God, the people that needed to read my book would read my book.
I can
And
absolutely relate to what you're saying.
yeah, and I like the colors that you chose for your book because green is a healing color too.
Yeah, yeah.
So we will come back to your book, and let's talk about tarot for a little bit.
Ooh, yes.
So tell us about your journey with tarot. What got you interested in tarot?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I was a gal born in the Bronx, Jewish, very traditional. When I moved to California in the late 70s, well, about 75, I met a woman who was a self-proclaimed witch. And I'm laughing because honestly, I was like, what? And but I accept, she was cool and whatever. We were the same age, and she gave me a tarot reading. And
Oh,
yeah, and and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what it was. And like many of us, and this is all you have to do is Google search today tarot, and it's so popular. And I think it's popular for the same reasons that I was drawn to it. I felt like the cards knew me. I felt like I was getting information that was going to help me in so many ways. And the next day or the day after, I can't remember, it doesn't matter, she gave me a deck of cards. And it was, as I said, it was like in the 70s. I went to a bookstore. I taught myself, I got one book, Paul Foster Case, and I taught myself how to read cards for myself. I was
right.
using them exactly for myself because, as you know, as we all know who are into tarot, this is a self reflective tool. And I
Yes.
needed a lot of that in my 20s. I was pulling cards every day, trying to
Mhm.
understand myself, trying to feel better, all of that, you know. And
Mhm.
I just took to the cards. Now, I need to say this too. I never went into reading tarot cards thinking I was going to be a tarot reader or a professional, you know,
Yes.
it wasn't like that. I always had day jobs to support myself. But what happened, the reason that my clientele has built over the years has been through word of mouth because I was giving readings to my sister and
Mhm.
she started to tell her friends. And then it'd be like, oh, this friend wants a reading, and that friend wants a reading, and this is really how it organically,
Mhm.
my ability as a reader, organically grew. And it wasn't really, and I'm going to say this, I'm 68. It wasn't until I quit my last day job at 61 that the universe, okay, I've been channeling for a while. That's another conversation how that happened. But it wasn't until I turned in my early 60s that the universe said, I quit my day job, that the universe said, you know, this is really what you were supposed to be doing your whole life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Us
it was
late in
like,
life forget that.
yeah, and it was and I felt that so strong. Not like I remember crying. It was like it came in with such truth. And that's when I decided to really you know, I have a website, really get into it in a bigger way and really put myself out there, you know, in ways that are much different than in the past.
So you probably weren't nervous at that time to do tarot readings as I don't want to say job, but for others because you had been practicing it for so long then.
Yeah, but I have to also admit that although I was doing it, you know, kind of forever for other people,
Hmm.
it took me, my friends know that I always had issues with my responsibility in it. And it was hard for me to even let people know that I was a reader. I mean, I had so much, I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm trying to remember now because things are so different. And you know,
Uh-huh.
sometimes when things change in such a fundamental way, it's hard to go back. Like, why did I feel that way? I don't know
Hmm.
if it was shame. I'm not sure. But I had an embarrassment about being a tarot reader in a way that kept me
Oh, really?
from being very public. Things are different now. Maybe it's because it was the 70s and the 80s. Tarot was definitely more underground at that time. And when I told back then, when I told people when I did come out and I said I was a reader, that's what I did on, you know, as a side thing. Really, people were like, "What?" You know. And I
Oh,
think,
really?
yeah, and I think for me, if I had to analyze it, I think it pushed a button in me that also always felt different, which I know we all can feel that way, but I grew up disabled, physically disabled
Oh,
in
you
the
did.
60s at a time when then I was seen in a way that was really lesser. I took on this idea that there was something wrong with me, and I think getting people's reactions that were not that favorable about tarot kind of
Hmm.
pushed me into the closet and made me feel a little bit less proud. We talked about that earlier. But also, too, I always worried. I did readings. It was great. People responded favorably, but inside, I always worried about my responsibility in that. And really, that's why I'm sharing this with you. I'm in my 60s when it finally was like, I'm good. I'm good to go. It took me a long time, but here I am today in a different headspace.
Do you feel the channeling comes in while you're doing the readings with the tarot now?
Absolutely. I still pull cards. I love tarot. And what I'm discovering is that the cards and what I'm channeling are really in sync. Like I get more information from the universe, but then when I really look at the cards, I'm like, oh, the cards explain it too, but in a
Yeah.
different way. Yeah. Do
Um,
you also find that when you're
oh,
reading?
I love tarot. I pull my cards every day. I usually do a 5 card spread. And you know what? I end up crying when I do it because it just, is so in sync with everything.
It's so
It just
profound.
is.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
just love tarot. Yeah. And I love having my tarot done too. Isn't that crazy? But I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know what tarot is, can you explain about the cards a little bit and the major arcana and the minor arcana and
Yeah, sure,
the
sure.
novices?
There are so many tarot cards today. Artists are making them right and left. There are so many decks that
Yes.
that we can't keep track anymore because there's a lot of people self-publishing and all that. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because regardless of the deck you choose, regardless of how modern they are, how they've, kind of moved past the traditional Rider-Waite deck, which is a very popular classic deck.
I like Brighter Weight.
Honestly, that's the deck I use for all my readings still. It's what I learned and it's what I use. But regardless, tarot decks have 78 cards. And as you mentioned, they're split into two categories: major cards, which comprise 22 cards, and then the minors, which is the rest of the deck. And the minors are like playing cards. They go from 1 to 10. They're numbered 1 to 10. And then they include four court cards. And that's all in 4 individual suits, kind of like playing cards as well. And so you learn to read. You have to read, you have to understand each card individually in order to, read for yourself and even for other people.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Um, Tell me the different spreads and layouts. Do you have certain ones that you like to use? And when you're doing the tarot readings, sometimes do you pull in oracle cards at the same time or stick with just traditional tarot?
I actually have never, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes will pull an oracle card at the end of a reading to kind of, maybe see something else for the person. And most of the time it's the same thing or the message is the same. As a matter of fact, I pull together, because of the book, Guidance from the Universe, I actually now have my own, or kind of, they're called inspirational cards. They're 36 cards. I channeled information from the universe, and I use those after a reading. I'll have somebody pull one of those,
Perfect.
and they do piggyback.
Perfect.
It's always, I never take this for granted, the messages that come, but always, as I think when you even pull tarot cards, that what somebody intuitively picks from those 36 inspirational cards matches exactly what we had just talked about for a half hour or an hour. I do use the traditional Celtic, what's called the Celtic spread, but
Okay.
I add another card, and I think the traditional spread might be 11. I use 12 cards. And then there's also people, as you said, you pull 5 cards. I think when you're learning, it's okay to pull 1 card.
Right.
I or 3 cards, and people use those 3 cards when they're learning in different ways, right? It can be past, future, present, future, all different kinds of ways of learning. And I think that using spreads, which is what we're talking about, how
Yeah.
we spread cards, especially if you're using more than one, is really another entirely way of telling a story about a person or about yourself. And that's a whole other thing to learn about tarot, right? It's one thing to understand the cards, an individual card, but it's another thing to understand how these cards, when they're in a spread, relate to one
The
another.
story that they tell.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I found for myself when I started, just one card. My guides, what would you like me to know today? and just the one card, and because people find it scary, and then just look up that meaning and see what it says and
Yeah.
see how applicable it is. So with your other deck, which we're going to talk about, do you suggest that people pull one card a day to start with that to see what the message is for guidance?
Yeah, I mean, the inspirational cards I have are
Mm-hmm.
used either you can intuitively, put them up, spread them out, intuitively pick a card,
Mm-hmm.
see what you get for the day or the week, or if you, or because they're kind of, they are specific to different kinds of themes. So, you can also use them by picking one that you need to help you, stay inspired about your life or stay inspired about how you
Oh.
feel. Yeah.
And when we get there, do you have that deck so we can see what the cards look like and maybe read a
Didn't
few?
I didn't bring them to the table with me, but I have. Yeah, I didn't bring them to the table. I'd have to go searching for one.
Sorry. Didn't even think about asking
That's
about that.
okay. I know. I just got them done, so they're still. I'm still, yeah, figuring them out in terms of how to use them and to sell them if people want them. So they're still literally they're still in a box, and I have one that I have open, but it's in my office. So sorry about that.
Okay. That's okay. We'll fix this somehow. We might have to do a video on just your deck. No,
Yeah,
there's
I
all
think they're really cool. People are responding to them too.
yeah, I used to have those inspirational cards. I think they're beautiful to have.
Yeah.
And a wonderful way to start the day too. And to have that as a focus. Okay. Is there anything more you'd like to share about tarot before we go on to drumming?
Oh, no, I think that covers it. Like you, I love tarot and I use it for myself and it's a fabulous tool.
Yeah, yesterday I pulled tarot every day, and yesterday things were so convoluted, and I didn't get to it, and I didn't get to read my goals, and it just my day, just was not a good start to my day, and I missed it so much. Yeah, I really enjoyed tarot. Okay, so this spiritual drumming, tell us about that. That's just how you picked up the drums. How did that come into fruition? I mean,
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I grew up like many people playing a musical instrument. I played
mhm,
piano, classical piano, and I
me
grew up.
too.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Okay, cool. Yeah, a lot of us took piano lessons.
Yeah.
And I took to it, and I grew
Hmm.
up, like I said, in New York City in the Bronx, and I ended up at Music and Art High School, which is the Fame High School, and I got in on piano.
Hmm.
And when I moved to California when I was 18, I met some women, and we were just jamming. I was on
Talk
piano.
about a culture change.
Yeah, yeah, I needed to get out of New York for a lot of reasons. That's like another story altogether. I'm happy to be in California, the land of what I felt like was freedom and acceptance, and so different than the East Coast.
Yes.
And I was playing music with some women, not professionally, we were just jamming, and somebody had always brought these two conga drums. And we took a break, and she said, Jill, she said, well, just get on them and see. And really, like tarot, I was immediately drawn to these drums. And a lot of people are. Just to, sidebar, there is something called drum circles, and a lot of people maybe
Yes.
watching this will know about drum circles. I didn't
Hmm.
know about drum circles at that time. But the point about it is, like tarot, people are really drawn to the ease of playing, the ability to get on an instrument with immediate feedback, right? Because when you're on a drum, you're getting immediate feedback, and you don't
Right.
necessarily have to have technique. And, I mean, that's another discussion, but that's what people find. And
Hmm.
we're also our heartbeats, rhythm, we're connected. So I also took to the drums, like many people do, and
Hmm.
I, at that time, decided to take lessons. And back then, if I was going to be on conga drums, I took very specific lessons traditionally in the Afro-Cuban style. And I did that for many years, played professionally. Went to Cuba actually in
Oh my
2002
God.
with my drum teacher at that time. A shout out to Carolyn Brandy, a fantastic,
Yeah,
amazing,
that's so cool.
mind-blowing drummer. And I opened in 2000. I opened a hand drum school here in Eugene, Oregon.
Seriously.
Yeah, and I did that for 10 years. I combined my classical music training with understanding hand drumming, conga drums, and djembe. And also at that time, as I mentioned, drum circles were so big. And so it was also my goal wasn't to teach people how to become professional drummers. There's plenty of people who can do that. It was really about the recreational side because, again, part of my training, my college degree was in therapeutic recreation. So I combined all of this understanding about recreation and what recreational leisure is all about for people. And because of my training, this is long-winded, but because of my training in therapeutic recreation, I ended up also using the drums with people in prisons, people who had who were developmentally disabled, alcohol recovery. I mean, it was really a lovely 10 years of working with all different kinds of populations and bringing the love of drumming, like the love of tarot, to
Jill, you
people.
have changed people's lives. You have. No, seriously. That is
Well,
so
thanks,
cool.
Karen. I never thought about it that way.
You
I'm just doing
have.
my thing. I'm just doing my thing. But thank
Think how
you.
you impacted people.
Well, yes. I mean, if I think back, yes, I guess.
Yeah.
True that.
There.
Sure.
Did you go to U of O?
No, I didn't. I was in San Francisco for my college degree. I went to
I'm
San
going to say therapeutic recreation. Where in the heck did you get that degree?
Yeah, San Francisco State University.
You
That
have.
used to be, yeah, recreation and leisure used to be a degree, and you could do, hospitality or, therapeutic. It was a great degree, I'll tell you, for many
That
reasons.
was not an option for me in my area. I needed to head down to San Francisco out of Portland, I'll tell you. Oh boy, I can just imagine me telling my parents that.
Yeah, right. I know. I know. A lot of people didn't understand it, but it was really a well-rounded degree because you learned how to leadership,
Oh my gosh,
programming, events. It was great.
I think I missed out on my calling. Yeah,
Yeah, it was great.
yeah, I'm impressed. What a great way to connect to spirituality too, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, Afro-Cuban style, a lot is about that. There's
Mm-hmm.
a deep connection to I want to say like an earth-based religion, the traditional drumming. We're not talking about the popular Cuban style like salsa and those kinds of things, but the traditional Afro-Cuban style is very related. Not all, some of it is secular, but some of it is definitely related to spirituality for sure. For sure. So there's a lot, Karen, thanks for asking about all this. Honestly, I've done a lot of interviews since the books come out, and I rarely get to talk about the drumming side,
Oh my
but
gosh.
I never have really. But, thanks for bringing it up because there is a connection.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there always was a connection between tarot and drumming. Always. They both offer a connection to something that's otherworldly. Because even if you don't have the technique for drumming, when you're in a drum circle, I don't think there's anybody, I'm going to generalize, but I don't think there's anybody who's ever been in a drum circle who doesn't feel elevated and uplifted by the experience and feels better when they leave. That's the point. And that's true about tarot too. The
Yes. Yes. And I've got a drum over here, and I need to find a
oh,
drumming circle.
oh,
I
okay.
do. Yeah. And I play it. The reason why I play it is, well, you know how you burn and you smudge? My dogs don't like the smoke, so I will do it with the drum. Not that they like the drum any better, but I will
Oh,
clean my house with that too, clear it
well,
from energy.
I was once,
Um,
talking about animals and liking drums or not. I once did a camp for an all girls camp. I brought drums for everybody, and I used to do this. And
wow.
we were outside, and we were around, like a fire pit, and suddenly 3 deer showed up and just
Oh,
and just watched us. And I was amazed that they didn't run off. They weren't scared. It was almost like we had called them or that they were. My dog, I used to bring my dog to my school, and she would come out of the office and sit in the middle of the circle.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, yeah. So there's so many things we can't explain. And with that, I'm going to say, I know you didn't ask about this, but I have to say, for me, the channeling part of my life, how I started to hear voices and how I started to get images of things I couldn't possibly know about somebody else, is also for me still about the wonder. I have not been able to put what this is in a box. I don't know what it is. I asked once a long time ago. They said, call me whatever you want. Names are a vibration. I decided to say it was guidance. Guidance just means help. But I just maintain the wonder of it, like a lot of things. I think tarot also, there's a wonder to that. I think a lot of people, and I might get a lot of negative response saying what I'm about to say, but I think a lot of people in the tarot community, they want to put it, label it. This is when it started. This is, and I think we really don't know. That's been my opinion from the research I've done. And I don't think we really understand how it's working. And I don't think we have to. And that's true for my channeling too, my opinion for myself.
Did you hear that noise?
Yeah, I just, you know what,
What
turned off.
What is it?
Well, I turned off my phone, but I got a ding, so sorry.
Okay, I don't know. God, is that on your end? Because I don't think I'm doing
Oh,
it.
that was on my end. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
don't do that anymore, Jill.
Yeah, I don't know why. People are, my phone's off, so, but anyway.
I want to go back to the drumming, then I want to go to channeling for a second.
Sure.
The thing about music raises your vibration. So every time you got together with the drumming and all that other stuff, you're raising everybody. Is that you again?
That's me. I can't seem to turn it off.
Throw it over your shoulder. Get it out of the room. I'm just teasing. But you're raising everybody's vibration too with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's so cool. I wish I would have met you like back in my 20s and 30s.
Oh, okay.
I would have really resonated. Well, not that I don't resonate with
I was
you,
going
but
to say, I think
I would have hung around with you. Yeah.
it would have been fun.
It would have been fun.
It would have been fun.
Well, I know we weren't going to talk about channeling, but tell us about your channeling ability, please.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm in the wonder of it. It happened really unexpectedly. It wasn't like I was going, oh, I think I'm going to like channel information. It just, when I moved, a few years after I moved up to Eugene, I met a woman through a friend of mine who was a tarot reader and a channeler, a psychic. I had no idea what that was either. And she would hold these groups on Wednesdays where we would go. She would channel information, and then she would answer questions for everybody in the room.
I want you to explain channel information, like we're in kindergarten.
Yeah, right. What is that? How can I explain it?
Receive messages?
Yeah, receiving messages. There are all different ways that people channel, right? There's what we think of as psychic, but I don't use that word too much because I think the thought about psychic is that you can predict the future, right? There are other ways that people receive information that can't be explained through like automatic writing. They'll hear stuff, they'll write stuff down. There are ways that people get images that like they're talking to somebody and they get an image. I've had that. I see, like a client, I'll see a book. And so I'll say,
Spirit is messing with us.
it's just we just have to accept what's going on. It's cool. It's cool. Or like I was reading cards once. Let's just give you an idea. I was reading cards once for what is channeling. Let me just give you an anecdote. Maybe can explain the way I do it because I get images, pictures, words, so I'm reading tarot cards and channeling information for a friend. I know her very well, right? And they keep saying whatever that voice is, and I see it as a group. I don't know, not an individual. That's just how I feel it. And they're saying, oh, remind her to bring candles. She was leaving for a work trip. She was packing for a work trip. And I'm ignoring this because this is a friend who always lights candles, always brings candles. tell her to bring a candle. So we're talking, tell her to bring, so 3 times at the end of our reading, we're sitting there talking. And I said, by the way, they're telling me to tell you to bring candles. And I know that's ridiculous. And she interrupts me and she goes, oh my God, I forgot to pack one.
Oh.
So that's the kind of stuff, right? Or once I remember telling somebody, they're saying that you need to read this book. And the woman goes, oh, I just read it. I said, okay, well, there's some profound information for you, obviously, that you read in that book, or maybe look at it again. So, I'm somebody who, in my readings, I won't predict the future for people. I don't feel like future predicting is what I want to do for people. I think then people have expectations. They'll be disappointed. It's not my jam.
Yeah, you
But
just
it
let
has,
what comes, comes.
yeah, it has happened. It has happened. And I don't edit what I get. So if something comes through from me with clients, I will convey what I'm getting. And
I
as
don't know. They told you 3 times before you told someone.
right, and I was going to say, and like with my friend, right, I'm not immediately like, oh, okay. And that's the other thing I think, Karen, that you and I both know. This brings us to this, I think, a discussion or at least an understanding that we all have free choice, free will.
Yes.
We do. And regardless of what I'm being told, even from myself, free choice, free will. Sometimes I'll get
Right.
information from myself and I'm sitting there going, no way. And I have to sit with it. No one's the boss of me,
Yeah.
right.
I'm going, are you kidding?
I'm like, I'm going to sit on this and just see how I feel about it. How does it resonate with me? One of my biggest, if anybody follows me on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or Substack, whatever, I do readings every Monday. I'll pull a card for the week.
I need to find you.
And yeah, same. We need to hook up. And
Yeah,
but I always say in the beginning, before I read what the card is for the week, I always say, take what you need and leave the rest. If it doesn't resonate with you, throw it in the trash.
Right.
Free choice, free will. So important that we not see any of this. Again, my bias, but you and I are talking. I get to say my bias, I guess. Any of this without, like a cult. This is not a cult. This is still about, it's got to resonate with an individual, no matter who I'm reading for.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you're going to have to let me know, send me the links, because I know I have a friend who does readings on Saturdays at a certain time, and then she cuts it off after so many, people, because it goes on. And I'll put that link up on my page.
Great, thank you.
So people can find you too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, now let's talk about your book.
Yeah.
Tell us about your book.
Yeah.
It's a self-help memoir. So tell us about that, please.
Well, it came about because I mentioned, there are different ways that I receive information, and I had received information that I had written down in my journal. And I started to transcribe those. I can't remember why, but I did. And it turned out they were topical. Information from the universe came through on different topics like
Let's see
money.
that book again.
I do love the cover. I mean,
It's
my
a
publisher,
great cover. It's beautiful.
yeah, she writes press as the publisher, and they did a great job on this cover.
It's
And
beautiful. It
yeah,
really
I
is.
think it is too. And so I got different messages, right? I'm looking at the table of contents: grief, abundance, loss, forgiveness, sadness, suffering, joy, perfection. Anyway, and I started to transcribe these, and at some point, and I'm a writer. I mean, it's what I do in my spare time. And I got a message from the universe at some point, and they said, "Do you think this information was given only for you?" And I was like, yeah. And also too, I was helping clients with it. I was learning from it. So, I would talk to clients about it. But it was at that point, and every time I went to them and said, what should I do? And they still say this to me when I say, where should I go? What should I do? A lot of times they just say, write, write, like this is my wheelhouse now. So I decided to write to get the information out. It wasn't until I started transcribing the information that they offered that I thought, I'm going to write my own stories. that's the memoir piece, for how I used their information about time, the things I learned about grief, time, because of them. And that's in the book as well. And then a few years, I'm writing this, and a few years later, I thought, oh, maybe at the end of every chapter, I will add questions to jumpstart the reader's own musings on these topics.
Good
So,
idea.
right, so that people could, and then the final thing, you ask about the book. A book is it happens over time. That's been my experience. And at the very end of writing this book, I thought, I would love to have a graphic for each chapter. And then I thought, well, Jill, you're a tarot reader. Why not use tarot cards? So I'll just show you. So the first chapter is awareness.
Oh, I love the Hermit.
And there's the hermit. And at the very end of the book, I write why I chose each card, because I actually picked every 30 cards intuitively, not based on what I know
I love
about,
the last one.
not based on what I know about cards, but just intuitively what I felt would represent each chapter. So
Okay.
that's the book. And I will
Oh, what's the last card?
the last card? The last chapter is perfection. And the last card that I picked for perfection is that nine, is a minor card. It's the 9 of Pentacles.
Oh, where she's out in the garden. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. A card that really shows our dominion, our love of self. So anyway, that's how the book came about. And it's resonating with people. I honestly thought that the messages from guidance would be the most important piece, and people are responding to that. But the feedback I'm getting is that people are relating to my stories, and this book,
That's the connection.
the connection. Yeah, sure. So this book is not about how you can channel. There are a lot of books out there about that, but it does support the ability, I believe, that we all have to receive messages, to be kinder to ourselves. That's what the book is about. It's about being gentler and kinder and more accepting of who I am, and therefore who you are. That's really the main message of this book.
And possibly opening up to spirit also.
Absolutely.
Well, when you were reading just that short version of starting all the table of contents, I'm thinking, okay, I experienced all of those. So each chapter has meaning, and they don't have to be in order. You could just skip around and read the chapters too.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding. You can read the whole book from cover to cover,
Right.
or just then head to the chapter that you need. Absolutely.
At that time, and then come back to others. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Jill, you are wonderful. This has been wonderful. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want to cover?
I think the only thing, thanks for asking. I think the only thing I want to say is that at this point, I have a very strong belief system in an optimistic way of looking at life.
Good.
I grew up disabled, as I said, physically disabled, in braces, wheelchairs, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's a lot about that in my book, actually, about how I grew up. And I do feel that that my change from being somebody who really believed they were unlovable, and I think we all can feel that at times and feel like we're different, and we all, so many of us feel like we're unique, different, but not in a good way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't
Right.
want to sound too like it's easy, but I'm going to say something that's very cliche. I really believe if I transformed my life.
You did.
I did. Based on the information I got from tarot, the information I got from guidance, doing some therapy in my 20s, having supportive friends, really believing, starting to understand that of my worth, that suffering isn't really a good look on me or anybody. Being a victim isn't a good look on me or anybody. And I've chose to live a life where I do better because I feel better. And I guess what I wanted to say, really where I was starting, was that I don't think it's takes. We all know that when we do better for ourselves, we do better for each other, and we do better for the world. And I
This is true.
absolutely believe that that doing better starts here. That I have to be responsible for what I put out, what I say to myself, and what I say to others, and what I put out into the world. It's
Yes.
not perfection. I get it wrong all the time. I get frustrated. I judge people. I'm still human. I do all the human things, but with awareness, which is the first chapter of my book, because awareness is all, they said, and they're right. With awareness, then I can apologize
Right.
for my missteps. I can decide that I don't want to suffer on a Monday. I can decide that, right? I can decide that maybe, today I won't eat that extra cookie. I mean, whatever it is, awareness is so important for us to feel better about life and to take responsibility for how we're walking through life. And I think that we are all dealing at this time with many things going on in the world that can bring us
Yes.
down. But guidance taught me, and it's in my chapter on suffering, that if I climb into that pit with everybody else, then I can't help everybody else. So
Right.
climbing out of that, learning how to remain optimistic, positive, loving is a challenge, but it's worth my time. And I think
Right.
that's maybe what I wanted to leave you with.
And that you can maybe bring somebody with you also
That's
and help
right.
them.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, if you're ever up in my area, let me know.
I will, absolutely.
Okay. I would love to meet you.
Yeah, I would love that too. Okay, we'll stay in touch. And thank you for
Okay,
having
thank
me.
you for coming on, and maybe we can visit with your cards another time.
Yeah, that'd be great too. Yeah, thanks for
Yep.
having me and for being a great host. I
Oh,
really,
thank you.
really
I
appreciate it.
actually love doing this. I seriously do.
It's great. It's great. Well, you're really helping too. We need this. We need this. We need to hear voices that are that understand what
Yeah.
you're trying to bring. This healing,
Yeah,
and
kind of an alternative to what's happening in parts of the world. Yeah, thank you so much.
thank you.
Bye bye.